lots of advice. There's so much, but the starting point is to let go of the idea that this year you're going to find your soulmate. Okay. Just let go of that idea. That's a desire. It's a need, but let go of the idea that you have to find this person in order to be happy, because it's being happy that's going to attract that person. Okay. So we postpone our happiness till we fulfill what we want, as opposed to recognize right now in our life, we have what we need in order to be happy. And then when a woman is feeling that, then she will rise up with the right desire. The desire is what allows you to go, this is the one for me. I know lots of women listening, you've been with guys on dates and you go, I'm just not getting it. I'm not getting the spark. Why am I not falling in love? What's missing? Well, that falling in love only happens for women, generally speaking. I can't say every woman, is when a deep need is being fulfilled. And one of the great challenges, this is the other side of it. There's the great hope and the possibility and how you're going to create that. The challenge is that to recognize the right person for you, to be attractive to the right person for you, to have the right person fall in love with you, want you. That person is going to be drawn to you as you connect with the part of you that is fulfilled already. That's a big, big task. But, this is what life is about, is finding the fulfillment within us. If we can trace back to failed relationships, I've been doing this 40 years, and it's always where people are putting their partner as a source of their happiness, and rather than themselves as a source of their happiness. I know this gets a little philosophical, but I bring it back down to one of my most important teachings for men. And this is where women have to understand this, because by your reactions, by your responses, by your behaviors, you're going to have to teach men today. Men today are different species, and they're very, very different. They don't make commitments. They're less in touch with their masculinity. There's a place where a man makes a decision and he sticks to it and he goes for it. He's got a goal and he wants to seduce you, wants to keep you in his life. Men are losing that drive. And part of it, and you'll relate to this probably from some of your past experiences, where on a day when you're not happy, a guy gets all bent out of shape and tries to talk you. Well, what's wrong? Why aren't you happy? But what's the problem? You're making a big deal out of this. You're worried about this. Why not? Look at the bright side of things. And what happens then is, if you're not always sort of perky and positive or whatever, he ends up feeling blamed. You're not blaming him. You're just being who you are. But he ends up feeling blamed. This hypersensitivity that men have today is, we have evolutionary progressed to where we're more aware of our feeling side. Okay, I call that the feminine side. The more detached, analytical side is our masculine side. And why to call it that? It's a differentiation. We have to have distinctions to make sense of the world. It's not all just blah. We say these are words, and this word means this, and this means that. Distinctions are everything. Within ourselves, as men and women, we have a male and a female side. And if I could, put the challenge for women today, in their 40s particularly, is that your male side tends to be stronger than your female side. And it's your female side that can know the right guy, can attract the right guy, and it's your female side that can feel happiness. That's where the happiness comes from. Confidence comes from your male side. So what men are drawn to a woman who has an inner fulfillment, who actually, I'm going to say the word, feels, I need a man in my life. However, I'm also getting what I need to be happy without a man. But I need a man. Why? To be happier. A man has the power to take you higher, but not to lift you up. It's just a very clear distinction. And ultimately, the foundation of what women have always needed from men, and this is why I'm trying to define the feminine need, because men are confused. Men think you need us to make you happy. Okay. And the truth is, that's an illusion. You make yourself happy, and it's the anticipation I'm going to get what I need that makes you happy. But men cannot make you happy. They can make you happier. Okay. So there's a distinction there. It's very important. When my wife's like on a roller coaster some days, I'm like, okay, what can I do to help? Because I know my job is not to make her happy. My job is to make it safe for her to be herself, safe for her to feel loved and accepted just the way she is. Now, I explained this to men, but why am I explaining it to you? Because you have to communicate to a man at times when he's trying to fix you or make you feel better, and just go, oh no, just being with you makes me feel good, and being able to express some of my feelings and thoughts, it feels great. And you don't have to fix it or solve it. It's just to create that dynamic where he feels successful. Now, ultimately, men are attracted and bond to women when a woman puts out the message that she needs him. Now, I know this is so confusing to women because they always associate needing a man with neediness.
Right.
Okay? Nobody likes neediness, and a woman hates neediness in a man. Okay. And so she's terrified of showing need. So there's two ways to experience this. This is a big question. Women always have it. Is like, but wait a second, need is a bad thing. Need is weakness. Need is the foundation of love. I mean, when you're hungry, okay, think about this for a moment. If you just ate a meal and you don't need food, somebody gives you food, it's not a big deal. You haven't eaten in a day. Go for a day without eating, and your body says, I need food, and somebody gives you food. Oh, that food tastes so good. You love that food. You love them. Love comes from fulfilling a need. And excitement and passion comes from feeling a desire, motivation, eagerness, and all that, and fulfilling a desire. But happiness, fulfillment, and love comes when you're in touch with your needs. And, it's a big discussion now about women finding their vulnerability. And that's tough when you're independent, when you're on your own, when you're successful, when you're making money, when you feel like, what do I need a man for? And this is what so many women feel today is, what do I need a man for? Well, I want to give you some language for this. First of all, you're beginning the new year. Let this year be a year where you create a series of positive dating experiences by not expecting the person you go out with to be the perfect person. This is a real key message. If you come to my house and you'll say, oh, what a beautiful office I have, what a beautiful house I have, and it looks so nice. But if you wanted to buy the house, you'd be looking at the cracks. You'd be looking at the plumbing. You'd be looking, are there rats? Basically, when we're thinking about making a commitment, like looking for a life partner, the brain becomes hyper vigilant to look at everything that's wrong. You want to free yourself from that hyper vigilance of like, is this the one? Is this not the one? Am I wasting my time? Am I not? Knowing that what you want to do is use men to feel happier. That's it. You don't owe them anything. Just to know that if you're on a date with a guy, just to be with a happy woman is a huge gift to a man because he gets to feel successful. So you've done your job. You don't have to do anything for him. You just have to be yourself and use him. It's literally like, a guy can say this, a woman can't. But I say to my wife, honey, I'm a tool. Just use me. And I said that one time to her. He says, it's amazing that you can feel comfortable saying that because women don't use me. I don't want to be used. That's okay. If for a man, that's what we're about is we want to feel successful, to be used. Our sensitivity there, the hypersensitivity of these modern men is that we need to feel we're successful because they don't have the confidence and they need a woman to build up his confidence. And so we'll explore today some ways to do that. But I'll let you ask some questions. I've been going on for quite a while, but I just want women to know that men are desperately looking to feel successful. And what the message that makes a man feel successful is that he thinks I've made you happy. And what you have to do is clearly let him know that he provides safety. And the fact that he's just listening or he's there, show him the little things he does and acknowledge that it makes you feel good. Then he feels like, okay, I'm doing my job. The symbol that he's done his job is you're happy. But what men don't yet discern is the way I accomplish that reward, so to speak, her happiness, is by making it safe for her to be herself. And men haven't learned that. So that's a message that women have to communicate more and more. And how do you do that? It's like little statements like, oh, I'm just feeling so happy I can be myself with you. And, oh, you were so helpful when you did this. I know I could share what I think with you and you'll always see the good in it. And not being argumentative, particularly in the beginning of a relationship, is such a key thing because it doesn't matter. All you want to do is share. And then when he maybe disagrees with you, here's 3 practical tips. Whenever there's disagreement, speak your mind. Don't Butter it all up. Be yourself. Be your authentic self, but do it in a tactful way. So he says, what do you think about the election? And then maybe you say something and he disagrees with you. And then whatever he says, you say, well, that makes sense. And then say what you say. Or you go, well, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. You have to, these like buffer statements. And women don't realize how important they are because these little buffers bump his testosterone up. Men need 10 times more testosterone than a woman to be attracted to her. He needs to feel this sense of success. But it doesn't mean she has to put herself down. It means that she just has to give him the little message that he's a success, which allows him to let her be as powerful as him. You know, the old-fashioned thing is women have to be submissive. They have to go down, whatever. And that would somehow, make men love you. And it does, but it keeps women from being authentic and truly to who they are, and powerful women on their male side. So you have that confidence on your male side. The challenge is to use that confidence to go to your female side and not see it as weakness, but see it as vulnerability, see it as emotionality, see it as not being perfect. It's seeing it as, it's the part of us that can love because it needs support. It's not an island. And as a woman can find that place inside of her, she not only will find greater happiness and love, but she will attract the right guy for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. There's so much there that I'm so grateful that you shared, John. One thing that stood out for me really strongly that I'd love for you to say a little more about is this idea that women often have, that we have to give in certain ways that we might like to be given to in order to win the love of a man. And what I've learned is that if a woman gives too much, too fast, too soon in the early stages of a relationship, it can actually short circuit what she hopes would happen. And I think this idea that you've just shared about men needing to feel successful by knowing they've made you happy by giving to a woman can actually be really empowering to a woman to help her navigate some of the challenges that she might feel in the early stages of a relationship, and particularly this temptation to overgive in ways that might feel good to her, but might not work the same way for a man. So I'd love for you to expand on that. I hope that made sense. It was a little bit of a convoluted question.
Actually, it was a great statement as well. And you just want me to talk more about it, but you perfectly nailed one of the greatest things for women to understand is, let me reverse it around. How did I win over my wife? But by giving more. You win over a woman. If you're a man, I teach men, you want to seduce a woman, be attentive, be interested, ask her questions, be a good listener, support her, offer to help, call her up, let her know that you miss her. These are all actions showing that she's special and important. And that's what she needs. Give her what she needs and she will want you. There's a relationship between desire and need. If you understand what a woman needs, you can seduce her. That would be how I got my wife to love me, basically. Men need to earn a woman's love by providing what she needs. Women don't need to earn the right guy's love. We are, as men, we have a little radar that says, okay, potential woman here, potential woman here, potential woman here, and it's called desire. Desire is built into men. That's our masculine side. And if I want food, okay, and I can't get it right away, what do I feel then? A greater need for food. What you want is a man to connect with his need for your approval, for your appreciation, for you. And the way he feels a greater need is to not get what he wants right away. Biologically, this is not necessarily the human part of him, but it's the drive back here and the primitive instinctive brain inside of a man. As much as this is a cliche, men biologically are designed, if a woman smiles, to want to have sex with her. Okay, just to put it that way. It's just, there's a strong desire, and you'll have more desire for one woman than another. And you don't know why you have it. You're surprised sometimes, but you'll just get turned on if you're a guy. She didn't have to do anything. It's so important that women have to get that. You don't do anything, but you have to be yourself, be authentic, be fulfilled within yourself. So then a guy comes along, I'm wanting. To want is to not have. So literally he's feeling this sort of not having. And if I don't have food, I want to eat, and I don't want to eat. I want to eat, and I don't have the food. I'm going to keep wanting, right? As soon as I eat the food, I don't want the food. I'm ready to move on to something else. Don't give him what he wants right away. It needs to be very slow. Give him a little more. Give him a little more. And people say, "Oh, well, John," some people, "you're playing hard to get." I said, "No, you're not playing hard to get. You're just not being insecure." You see, women, it's your insecurity. It's a desperateness. It's a confusion. It's where you feel like, oh, I have to give more to get more because I don't deserve it. If I'm a plumber and I go to somebody's house, I have to do a good job in order to get paid. I'll feel terrible if I don't do a good job. I don't want the money. It's like you have to earn it. That's the male energy, has to earn. And women, when you're not married and you're in your 40s, you're independent, you're way on your male side. So there's this tendency all day long, I have to earn it, I have to earn it, I have to earn it. Then you get with a guy and suddenly you think you have to earn his love. You do not want the guy that you have to earn his love. You want a guy who just, I suddenly want her, and now I got to explore what this feeling's all about. And if you satisfy his want right away, he doesn't get a chance to connect with his female side, which is his need to be in a relationship with you and to feel love for you. Remember, the love comes from our female side, and it's the needing you. Oh, I'm hungry for you. I need you. And so you slow it down. Everything is slow it down. And, when it comes to sex and intimacy, it's women feel the pressure. He's got this huge pressure because that's his job. His job is to get into the castle. Her job is to keep it locked until it's the right guy. And these are kind of old-fashioned ideas, but they're archetypal. And what happens is if a guy has sex with you right away, he will like you less afterwards in most cases. It's just simply because he hasn't yet bonded on an emotional level, on a mental level, on a spiritual level. He's just bonded with you on a physical level. And when he comes, the juice is left. It's just like he immediately repels back. And his brain becomes hyper vigilant at that time to see what's wrong with you if he has sex right away. Just like I'm trying to teach as women on your dating thing, don't look for the right person. Otherwise, in advance, you're going to be hyper vigilant to, well, not about this, but what about this? What about this? What I suggest is, have an easier attitude about my goal, the clarity of what I want is to create a series of positive dating experiences, whatever that means to you. Now, here's a dynamic that happens. It happens where guys are pressing to have sex and a woman feels like, oh, I'm going to lose him. He's a catch. I like this guy. This is really nice. And how do you say no to sex without offending a guy? Because it happens, women are so available to men today. They're so much more in touch with their male side. When you're in touch with your male side, you can even have casual sex and go great. If you're more in touch with your female side, you're kind of like, well, do I want to unite with that person? You get a lot more picky. And the male side is not picky at all. It just says, let's do it. It's a fun experience, athletic experience. It's exciting. It's pleasurable. I mean, why not do it? You want to shift gears if you're looking for a long-term relationship. So when he's pursuing you, wants sex, you basically have to say, oh, I'd love to have sex with you. Oh, I'd love to go all the way, but I need to go slow. That's all a man needs to hear is you do want to do it. That's it. It's like, that's enough for him. It's the conquest. It's the achievement. It's the goal. I'm successful. It's the anticipation for him of getting more each time. Slowing it down is such a good thing for women to know. And, if I had a bunch of men in the room, they could, John, don't say this, don't say this. But I know as a man what made me strong and what makes a man have strength. And strength is commitment. It's integrity. It's their most positive qualities is not getting what you want when you want it. Every man who's ever, has a sense of greatness, he overcame obstacles to get to that goal. I'll say to men in a group, now how many men think back in your life, talk to somebody about something you're really proud of. What makes you really proud of that makes you feel good about yourself? They'll always talk about some big obstacle, some big challenge. There was fear, there was doubt, there was difficulty, there was struggle, but he prevailed. That's the men earning it. They have to earn their confidence. And today, the movement which has happened, now we're shifting gears a little bit here, but it's as women have moved more to their male side with greater independence, men lose their confidence. So you get these men who are more on their feeling side. And I'll call these conscious men because they're more conscious of their female side. And what that means is they have greater fear and they have greater anger. They get their feelings hurt more. They're whiny and they're a turnoff to you. And so, but you have to get, this is a lot of the really diamonds in the gym. That was it, a diamond in the rough. Okay, these guys have the potential to give you what you want. You know, you might be attracted to these sort of very strong, sturdy guys who are very masculine, detached, not emotional, tall, dark, mysterious. And you'll get with these guys, and then they want you to stay at home and have children, that although you might be told to have that, but they don't allow you to express your masculine side. They want to be the dominant force, and you're sort of this old-fashioned woman at home kind of a thing. That's the old traditional role mate relationship where the male is dominant and the female is more submissive. The male's in charge and the women sort of follow along. It worked for a survival mechanism where men went out and, basically detached from life and sacrificed themselves and danger and so forth. And women nurtured life, gave to children and created a home and all that. That was then, but that's not now. Now, everybody can be independent, so women, as they become their whole self, their spiritual self, you have to realize the spirit is both masculine and feminine. So women, you've been moved beyond this threshold of masculinity coming out of you, independence, detachment, analyticalness, everything has to make sense. This is your male side. The female side is emotional, it's loving, it's cooperative, it's yielding, it's interdependent, it's wanting to love is the priority, and happiness and doing what you enjoy doing. These are like the keys to your femininity. Every day you need to put some time aside for yourself. If you want to find the right guy, you've got to be the right guy for yourself. That's part of this whole thing. You can't expect a guy to be attracted to your female side if you're not going to give support to your female side. And what that would look like, practically speaking, for yourself is every day put some time aside and say, this is for something I would love to do for me, what I like to do, what I enjoy doing. Because part of the neurosis of women today, when they're too far on their male side, it's overwhelmed. It's, I got to do more, I got to do more, I got to do more. I take on more things to do as opposed to relax. And that's hard. And that's why we'll move into the whole thing about understanding our hormones, our hormonal differences and so forth. But maybe you want to review something I said that you agree with.
Yeah, well, there's so much there, John, and I just love what you're sharing. One thing that came to mind as you were speaking, and perhaps I'm speaking in part from my own experience because I was a first-time bride at age 43 and have been married to a wonderful man now for a little over 10 years. But I had my own long and winding journey to love. And one of my challenges, and I think that it's common to many of the women in this audience, is I did grow up in a time where women had new opportunities and I wanted to be fully expressed in those ways. And I was proud of my independence and what I'd accomplished. And it was almost like, for some of that time, a badge of honor that I didn't need a man. And yet at times this deep desire, sometimes in a very surprising and poignant way, would rise up inside of me, and I would realize that I really did desire that on a very deep level, even to the point where I did recognize that it was a need. It was something I really wanted and needed in my life. And what I find in speaking with women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, which are mainly the women that I work with, is many of us, and myself included, are in that boat, and yet we actually long for, on some levels, to have that masculine, feminine dynamic in some of the more traditional ways, but we still want to feel like we're fully expressed and able to show our strength and our independence as well. And so it creates a bit of confusion. But just as an example, when I got married, I had been in some corporate jobs where I traveled a lot and I drove around and did customer-facing meetings and that sort of thing a lot. And then all of a sudden my husband was doing more of the driving when we did things together. And John, this sounds like a simple thing, but I can remember saying to my husband many times, it's such a relief for me to just be able to sit back and relax and let you drive and get us there. Now, I'm perfectly capable of driving, but that was a luxury that I really enjoyed. And I think this tricky part is that part of us desires some of the aspects of kind of the more traditional male-female roles, and then part of us wants to, not feel like we're being suppressed or that we're not fully expressed in our own capacity and capabilities. And I think this is part of what you're talking about and what your new book is about. There's some confusion around all of this. It creates a lot of chaos and some craziness between both men and women. Again, I gave a big statement there, but yeah, pick up wherever you like there.
Oh, I just want to acknowledge the wisdom that comes out of you. That was such a beautiful example of what I'm talking about, which is, yes, I can drive myself, and I do that. I'm very independent. And yes, I have a female side that wants someone to do something for me. And I can just relax. And I'm just putting myself in the position of your husband for a moment. And what a nice thing it was that you said to him. You see, you gave him the message that he was providing something that you needed, okay, that was useful for you. Let me, fulfill something that's useful for you. And I know it's a little confusing between desire, wanting something, and needing something. And, they feel kind of the same, but actually needing is where you're depending on someone else, something outside yourself. And wanting is really more about depending on yourself to achieve the goal. I want to make a difference in the world. I want my house to be wonderful, so I'm going to take action on that. I'm going to do it myself. So the difference between wanting, desire, is based a lot on there's something I don't have, there's something out there that I want, and I'm going to do something about it. And again, if men have a goal, or women, you have a goal, but particularly for men, when you're on your goal side, you're on your male side, and that strengthens masculinity. And what's happening today, as women have gone to their male side, they have difficulty coming back to their happy, loving, fulfilled female side. You were able to do it. You were able to recognize, my ego's not so big that I have to do everything myself. I can allow him to do something for me and appreciate it. That was the beautiful thing about it. The metaphor I use is, when I take my wife on a romantic date, I always go over and open the door for her. If we're just doing work day, we rush and get in the car, we're off to do something. But we're on a date, she'll stand by the door and I'll open the door. And certainly she can open the door for herself. But when I open the door for her, basically the message, it's a symbol, it's a romantic message. And it's saying, you do so much for people all the time. Let me do something for you. So this evening's about you. Let me take care of you. Let me give to you. And that's what women need to get. And romance is a two-way street, but it's not both of them giving to each other. It's really more about men doing for women and women responding to his doing in a way that says what he did was helpful, made you happier, made you feel safe, made you feel comfortable, made you feel at ease. Safety, comfort, and happy. But safety is the most important. Next is comfort. Oh, I can relax. I don't have to do everything. And then you get to be happier than where you were. And a man can provide that. So these are like the messages that you want to give to a man when you are dating a man, is consistently giving him little messages that say, and this is a simple takeaway, but sometimes things are simple. Like you gave your example of just being in the car and going, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to drive now. Or I'm so glad you're here. I don't have to do this all by myself. I'm just glad you're here so I don't have to sit here and be alone. Just nice things that make a man feel like he has he has a meaning in your life. Because if you turn it around, look at what's happened to men. We grew up in a world, and we came from a world, and all of our traditions and culture and conditioning is all about women were dependent on men. And so we felt needed. So it was just kind of like, well, how she can't get a job, she's pregnant and no birth control, no education, she's dependent on me. So it empowered men. It gave men a sense of, I've got a role in the life. I've got a mission. I've got purpose. And suddenly now women are making more money than men. Women are more independent. They don't need men. why would a woman need me? That's what women have to get, is deep inside there's this insecurity inside of men, and they're moving to their female side because the male side is weakening. And literally biologically, we see this to be the case. You know, men at 35 years old, their testosterone levels are dropping, and it's happening even sooner for some. Boys are being, growing up in our world today, they're hitting puberty 2 years later than they used to. And girls are hitting puberty 2 years earlier. So this is another phenomena which is affecting women, not just the social pressures on women to be more independent and so forth. And also the need to not be oppressed and suppress your male. You said it very beautifully, which is a woman has two sides, her masculine side, her female side. Every man has a masculine side and a female side. And for women, for thousands of years, the male side has been suppressed. And for men, his female side is suppressed. But we've gone through a conscious awakening. We basically are saying, I want more. It's soulmate relationship. And soulmate relationship, as I define it, is simply a relationship that provides you the emotional support you need to fully express your authentic self. It's a relationship that has communication skills and insights and behaviors that provide for you the emotional support you need, the safety, the comfort, the wisdom, allow you to fully express all of who you are, your unique self, without repression. And so we have to look at all these sort of ways we've pushed ourselves down. And, one of the biggest travesties is to see weakness, to see femininity as weakness. And that's how it's seen, not just by men, but by women more. If I'm vulnerable, if I'm in touch with my feelings, if I reveal what's inside of me, I'll be seen as crazy. I'll be seen as needy. I'll be seen as weak. And I promise to talk more about the difference between needy and need. And I've sort of defined it as needy is you're saying, I need something, but I'm not getting it. And needing someone is loving them. Okay, if I'm hungry, I'm eating this food. I love this food. Basically, when you're saying, I love this food, you're saying, I need this. This is important to me. This is valuable to me. So love and need go hand in hand. But when you're saying, I need you and you're not there for me, that's needy. That's needy. So I saw it so clearly because women are always asking me these questions. Well, you say we're supposed to need men, but is it need weakness? And it's like nobody wants neediness. And to be quite honest, one of the reasons women are afraid of needing a man is when a man is needing a woman too much. Women are really turned off. They do not want a man who's like, I need you to hold me. I need you to comfort me. I need you to listen to me. I need you to always approve of me. I need you to feel good. This neediness is like when a man needs more from a woman, oh my gosh, it puts so much pressure on her and it puts her in the mothering role. And when she goes into the mothering role, it's not what she needs in her relationship. She's got a child for that role. These are the different hats we all have. The last thing a woman wants is to be a man's mother. But these men go into their neediness, or even needing too much, more than in their detached masculine power. See, it's a balance of both. And for women, so anyway, it's hard to sort of, it's again, making distinctions, being very clear about these places we go. So you can go, I'm going over there. Let me come back. And knowing, where do I need to go now? That's why I like to define in the new book is defining the qualities of femininity, defining the qualities of masculinity. And most simply put, I just focus on 3. I do 12 in the book, but the first one is independent. Whenever you're feeling independent, don't need anybody, I can do it myself. That's your masculine energy. And whenever you're feeling dependent, where I need something, someone, I need help, I need support, come to me, draw it in. When you're in that place, that's your feminine side. So one is an erection, I'm going for my goal, and the other is an opening vagina. I mean, this is biology. These are masculine, feminine forces. And why I can even say that is biologically, when men are feeling independent and confident and goal-oriented and detached, these are masculine qualities, their testosterone levels go up. And when men are experiencing their dependence, their surrender, their yielding, their emotions, their love, their cooperation, all of those qualities, these are feminine qualities inside of us. So we have competition on one hand, we have cooperation on the other. Both are important. We have detachment on one hand. We've got emotion on the other. These are inside of all of us. But the key to it for women, to find your happiness, to find your happy place, if you're way on your masculine, you've got to come back to your emotions. That's why therapy has been such a big deal for women. 90% of the people in therapy are women, because a good therapist will help a woman get out of her head and get into her feelings, get into her emotions, to actually be able to share and identify and give words to her emotions will help to stimulate estrogen, a healthy estrogen. And the estrogen will go up and her stress levels will go down. But many women don't want to experience estrogen, the psychological aspect, because whenever estrogen's going up, it forces you to feel your needs. And if you're not aware that you can get what you need, that you have what you need, and you always, this is the key thing, we have to get this belief out there, you always have what you need in your life to be happy. And that's our neurosis today, is even starving people can be happy. Go to the villages in town, you have this place where you can feel your need for love and support. And the more you don't have, actually it's easier to feel what I need. And then you look around and you see that, well, I have this and I have this. The trance women go into is that if I don't have a man, then I can't be happy, as opposed to, well, I do have this need over here and I do have this over here. And it would be really good. I need a man too. And I'm looking forward to that. But since he's not in front of me right now, I've got this over here and I've got this over here. And there's a need for a man, and trusting that the right man's going to come it's a feeling inside of self-assuredness that I deserve to have a man pursue me, instead of I have to earn a man's approval, a man's love, so he'll pursue me. No, you want to just be your authentic self, and the right guy will come after you. But you've got to put yourself out there and show yourself and show who you are, your uniqueness. And women are so into, like in the dating, another practical tip, you give to him what would make you happy. Okay, so the way I seduce my wife, and I do all the time, is I stimulate a conversation. And sometimes I even have some little bit of a disagreement just so she can resist me. And then I just basically listen and I say, well, help me understand that better. Tell me more. Really? Well, that's a good point. I don't fully agree, but I really like what you're saying. It makes sense. Validate her point of view. And when I do that, when I get her to express her point of view and then I validate it, she's suddenly in love with me again. I mean, it's an amazing thing when women feel safe to resist, to say no, to express themselves, to be different, to be in harmony, to appreciate. When they feel safe to express it all, then estrogen levels go up. And estrogen lowers women's stress. All the research and everything we've been talking for the last 20 years about oxytocin. Then I discovered that why oxytocin, this brain chemical hormone in the brain, gets produced through affection and touch and romance. But the benefit of oxytocin is it will lower your testosterone so that your estrogen can go back up. Estrogen is this hormone that women need 10 times more estrogen in a man. And if she doesn't have 10 times more estrogen than him, then suddenly she'll look to him like he's a child. But it's when your estrogen levels go up, that's when you feel like, oh my God, I need his help. I can't do it myself. I need his love. I need his attention. I need his support. And today, if women were to listen into, if you took a woman 100 years ago and she was listening into a counseling session of mine with a woman complaining about her husband, that woman would say, why is she so needy? Why does she complain about this and this and this? He doesn't look at me. He doesn't touch me. He's not affectionate. He doesn't love me. The grandmother would be able to say, what are you talking about? He went to work to support you. Give him a break, But why is it women's needs seem so much greater? If they're not greater, they're for something else. Because once a woman is independent, she's on her male side. What does she get from a man is the support to come back to her female side. That's what men can do. And particularly the most powerful way to bring a woman back to her female side. I'm saying this to women so you can know what to get from a man, how to use him. I say to men, that's how you seduce a woman, is you listen to her. You ask questions. You say, tell me more. Tell me what else. Help me understand that better. And you stand in her shoes. Try to see the world through her eyes. Doesn't mean you have to agree. Doesn't mean you have to submit. Doesn't mean you have to obey. But basically to hear her is so, so important. Because whenever you're expressing how you feel, your female side increases. Whenever you're solving problems, fixing things, your male side increases. But feelings is just I'm sharing in order for you to come closer to me, to know what I'm thinking, to know what I'm feeling, to sort out how I'm thinking and feeling. You're a sounding board for me. It just feels so good to be able to share what's going on inside of me with somebody I know who loves me unconditionally. Wow, give a man that job to do. And sometimes it looks as simple as saying to him, I just need to talk for a few minutes. And now this isn't on your first date. This is when you're already in a relationship. But it's kind of like, oh, I get to talk to you. I just want to tell you about my day for 5 or 10 minutes. You don't have to say anything. I just want to, vent for a few minutes, and then I'll feel better. The key to this is then I'll feel better. That makes him sense that he's doing something, because otherwise he thinks, well, why is she telling me about all these petty problems? And that's the secret, is let yourself be upset, because you are. It's inside about petty problems, because they're all first world problems. They're all petty. But you're reacting that way. And part of this is you react to petty problems because it brings you back to your female side. That's how you connect with your female. And if you don't react to petty problems, then how do you come back to your female side? Because your brain's always wanting to find balance. What you do is you now build up a whole story of big problems. So we invent all these big problems in our head and make everything worse than it really is. And to justify having these emotional reactions that our brain is needing to come back, as a woman, to come back to your female side, you need to connect with these emotions. So what I do is just teach women a simple technique, and you can do this with each other. You can do it in journaling, but start focusing on the little things in your life that are upsetting you and let yourself fully feel them. Because if you don't fully feel the little things, then you have to have big things to fully feel. It's because your brain needs to fully feel. It's connecting with your soul. You need to fully feel life. And so what happens is if you don't fully feel the little frustrations, the little disappointments, the concerns and worries that you have, if you don't fully feel them and let them go as a result of feeling them, then what occurs is there's a buildup and a buildup until your brain has to invent something really big to be upset about. So then you go, oh, I don't have a man in my life, so I'm so unhappy because of that, and I'm so lonely, as opposed to call up a girlfriend and tell her that today there was a lot of traffic on 101 and I couldn't get through, and use the emotional phrases. I in my book, I go into great detail what's called a Venus talk. What do you feel frustrated about? I can take my wife any day. I'm frustrated the computer broke down. I'm frustrated I had to wait for the guy to fix it. I'm frustrated that they never do it right. I'm frustrated somebody came in my office and unplugged it and I either reset it. I feel frustrated. I could let my girl side talk. I'm frustrated my camera's not working today. There's all kinds of things that go on inside of us, and we don't pay any attention to them. We just push through. That's our male side. That's our detached side. What's the point in complaining? What's the point in whining? Get it done. Push it behind you. And the more successful a woman is, often the more better she is at detaching and getting the job done. But there's another part of life that says, well, how did that feel? Just to the point of connecting to the reactions inside. Frustrations, disappointments. I'm disappointed. This didn't happen. I didn't make this money. I thought someone was going to call. They didn't call. Just little things. I'm disappointed. I had to rush instead of being able to have time to go to my yoga session. I'm disappointed. Let yourself feel those little vibrations and give words to them. Identify them. And what that does, it connects the front part of the brain to the middle part of the brain, to where the front part of your brain, which is in present time, and the middle part of your brain is always in the past. And so it's all of our past issues that we keep bringing into the now, because that guy left me, I'm alone, or because I lost that money, I can't buy this car, because I didn't get paid that. We're always using our past to justify our suffering. But if you can be in a little suffering in the moment, it trains your brain to stay in the moment and let go of the past. So you can be fresh and you can enjoy who you're with and what you're doing. It's coming in the present time by bringing up feelings that have to do with present time that are little. Train yourself to feel your emotions when they're little, because if you don't feel them when they're little, that's just feeling authentic, being yourself. Then they have to become really big, like knock on the door and pound on you. And you have to the brain gets addicted to remembering bad things to justify your emotions. Because if you were to share your emotions with somebody, to a guy, he would just say something like, you're making a big deal out of it. So what if 101 is traffic? We chose to live here. There's benefits of being here. So why are you complaining about it? Oh, I'm not really complaining. I just need to air it out and then I'll feel better. And I'm so glad you're listening. just to be able to use a guy as a sounding board. And if you don't have a guy to do it, use a girlfriend and do it back and forth. But when you do it with a guy, it connects you more with estrogen. There's just something about you. If a guy can hear you and validate your feelings, you just connected with the other half of the world. Because women are cut off. That feeling part of you is like guys won't understand. And they won't. But they can connect with emotions. If you just say, you don't have to fix it, you don't have to solve it, but just share some of your feelings. And then always comfort him by going, oh, you don't have to say anything. I'm going to be fine. But it feels so good to have you listen. It makes me feel better. I feel closer to you. But back going on those dates, I was making a point, never finished it, is that you will tend as a woman to earn his love the way a man can earn your love. And that would be by being attentive and interested and doing things for him. Because if he did those things for you, you would bond with him. But when you do those things for him, he doesn't bond with you. He actually detaches from you more. It doesn't bring him in connection with you. Is you don't want to do things for him, but you want to create opportunities for him to be successful in doing things for you. That's your role, which is to create a space where he can feel successful in meeting your needs. So what are your needs? Big need for a woman to increase her estrogen is to be heard. So don't ask him a lot of questions. Let him ask you questions. And if he doesn't ask you questions and he starts talking about himself, because you're asking him lots of questions, you know you do it. And what you do at that moment when you're asking him questions about stuff, basically whatever he says, let it be a short answer. When he takes a breath, go, that makes sense. Or that's a good idea. Or I know just what you mean. You're right. And then launch into your perspective and talk at least 5 times more than him. Always talk way more than the guy, because then he's forced to listen to you. Then he's forced to get to know you. And for some men, as they get to know you, their sexual desire will disappear because they're hitting reality. They're going, oh, I'm not attracted to her, who she is. Those are the wrong guys. He's never going to be attracted to who you are. You've got to be yourself. And the right guy is going to go, wow, I'm still turned on to her, even though I disagree with her. it's like, or if he agrees with you, it doesn't matter. But there's a place where you want to find a guy who has the desire for you, but he doesn't know if it's for you because he's just physically attracted. You have to show more of your inner world, and then he has to see, am I still attracted to that? And then his desire will help him to get to that place, unless you short circuit his desire by immediately satisfying his physical need instead of moving into talking more and sharing more and letting him do things for you. Then he gets to bond with you on an emotional level, a mental level. And if he still wants you, now you have the potential of a long-lasting relationship. If he doesn't want you, what you have to get, women, is next. He's not the guy you wanted. He's not the guy you wanted. And you have to gracefully be able to let go of guys without taking it personally to find the right guy. You got to go next. He wasn't the right guy. And that's why you don't want to be looking for the perfect guy, because you're going to go through several in some cases. But your goal is to make it a positive dating experience. And you gather these positive experiences, and then your mind clearly gets what it is I need, what I'm ready for, what I deserve, and it comes to you. That's the whole key. It's like I'm helping one of my daughters find a new house. It's going and seeing lots of houses, what's wrong with them, what's good with them, what's wrong with them. We have fun doing it. And the mind sets up exactly what you want, and then you can pull it in.
Yeah, there's so much there. And one thing that really stood out that I just want to emphasize, oftentimes I'll recommend to my clients, and I even do this sometimes with myself, with my husband, is if we can both literally and figuratively lean back and allow that space that you were talking about, John, for a man to step up into whatever role that he chooses to step up for, whether it be giving advice, support, listening, loving, whatever, then just being conscious of that and allowing that space, I think, can make a huge difference in our interactions with men, particularly if you want to feel your femininity. But we've been taught, and this is a big piece of our conversation today, we've been taught to jump in and to be so independent and so strong, take the lead, initiate, and that sort of thing. And like you talked about, give to men in the way that we think we'd like to be given to. And a lot of times that's backfiring. So just awareness of creating that space and being in the receptive mode, what I like to call graciously receiving from a man, can be so incredibly powerful.
That's so beautifully said. That's a very diplomatic, beautiful way of saying, in my world, use him. I just like, I love my car. I use my car. It's in a good place, and men have no problem as long as they feel that there's a reward. And what is the reward? The reward is that she is in a happier place. She feels safer. She feels more comfortable. It's acknowledged, and then that makes her happier. But her job is to find her happiness and we didn't go so far into as it is in my book, but it's all about women finding this hormonal balance of coming back to their estrogen side. And I'm not implying that they should take estrogen. I'm implying they can make it. Many women are being taught, well, you just make less and less as you get older and menopause, you're not going to be making it. And that's all nonsense. Women's adrenal gland continues to make plenty of estrogen for them. But to make the estrogen, you have to do the behaviors. You have to feel it inside. When you feel you can depend on someone, and when you're feeling trust, when you're feeling love, when you're feeling appreciation, when you're feeling happy, any of those feelings, you're making estrogen at that time. And one of the challenges, I just want to toss it in here, is a crisis in the world, which is with all the pesticides that are put into our food and our water supply. They get into our body. And in scientific terms, they're called xenoestrogens. That means your body can't tell the difference between a pesticide and an estrogen. It binds with your estrogen receptors throughout your body. And what that does is it sends a message to your brain that you don't need to make estrogen. And when you say you don't have to make estrogen, you stop feeling your need for a relationship. It frees you to go to your male side. I don't need a man. And it's really hard to come back to feeling I'm hungry for intimacy. I'm hungry for that romance. I'm hungry to share with someone. I'm hungry to feel like I don't have to drive all the time. Is that the feel that hunger for that is to feel your need. And when your body gets estrogen, because when you're feeling your need and you're getting your need met, that's how estrogen goes up. And for women who are still cycling, 5 days after your period, your estrogen levels need to double. Otherwise, your stress levels will be off the chart. That's when your body and your cycle naturally for 5 days, your estrogen levels double. And what you need at that time, one of the things you need to be general about it, you need pair bonding. Pair bonding is where you go to someone, your doctor, your chiropractor, your archery teacher, your professor, whatever it might be, somebody who has something that you need you can't give to yourself. That's called pair bonding. And that, of course, the most powerful pair bonding is romance, where you're getting that affection and that focus from a guy and getting empathy and understanding from a guy. It's a massive pair bonding experience, particularly for those 5 days. And when you don't get it during those 5 days, and it starts, you have your periods over. For 5 days after that, your estrogen levels are starting to rise again. So you're not feeling your needs too strongly. You're feeling quite independent, and you're getting what you need. And then suddenly it doubles, and your need for pair bonding for those 5 days doubles. And that's why your mood can shift, and that's where you feel the need for a man the most. That's where you'll feel your disappointment the most if you don't have a man. And if you don't get pair bonding, it doesn't have to be with a man. You can go out and find pair bonding. Somebody has something that you need, and you give something to get it. Then if that need is not fulfilled, then for the next 18 days, your body basically feels incomplete. It's like you missed a meal, and all afternoon you're going, I didn't eat. And this is very challenging. But after that 5 days, then your main need at that time is for progesterone. And progesterone is produced by social bonding and by self-nurturing. So that's where you have to become less dependent on men. But it's during those 5 days, and if you're already beyond menopause, it's during much around the full moon. That's where you want to make sure, if you can, to have some sort of pair bonding experience, because then it frees you for the rest of the 18 days after that, to give yourself permission to do self-nurturing. I remember we talked about women today are so busy taking care of everybody else, they don't nurture themselves. And particularly for women who are really in their male side during the day, that means they're making testosterone. Well, your body can't make progesterone when you're making testosterone. Your testosterone uses up progesterone, actually made out of the same subset of material. So if you're making testosterone, you can't make estrogen. So what you have to do is lower your progesterone levels. Lower your testosterone levels to come back to your female side, estrogen, and then you have to make progesterone. So this is all tricky. That's why I wrote a whole book on this, is that you need to be able to come back to your female, and there's two, it's like pink and blue of female. One side of your female side says, I'm going to take care of me, and I'm going to be a socialite, have lots of friends, and have fun. That's progesterone. And then there's the pure estrogen side in the first part of the cycle, which is where you feel your need for pair bonding. And that particularly doubles right around 5 days after your periods. For those 5 days, it's like it's the best time to eat your meal, so to speak. If you miss that, then you're kind of out of balance for the rest of the month. So that's key stuff to know. And that's why I wrote a whole book on that. But the flip side of this is this whole cycle gets thrown off because we're getting these xenoestrogens in the body. So the key with xenoestrogens is to make sure that you're doing things to detoxify the body, to get those pesticides out. And that's my nutritional side of this whole thing. And I've got lots of videos on that at my website. And I'd just be remiss if I didn't tell women that, because there's a lot you can do within yourself to balance your hormones. And then there's a lot you do in your relationships.
Yeah, thank you, John. I'm so grateful that you are sharing this, because certainly our health and our well-being impact all of our lives and our quality of life, and can have a huge impact in the quality of our relationships. And I want to be respectful of your time. I know our time is going quickly, and I love speaking with you, so it's always hard to let you go. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here with us today. And I want to encourage our listeners to visit your website, MarsVenus.com, where they can be a part of your email list and get your weekly shows that you put out each week, and tap into the wisdom of your wonderful daughter, Lauren, who also puts out wonderful and delightful information. And then also, I just want to recommend, I know I'm going to pick it up myself, your new book, Beyond Mars and Venus. So I want to thank you, John, and I'll let you leave us with the last word in just a moment, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for so generously sharing. You're such a gift to the world, and I know your work has positively impacted the lives and relationships of so many people from around the world, and really thank you for being here. So I'll let you leave us with a last word before we wrap up.
Well, thank you. You know, as I go through a lot of this stuff, I know many people are going, oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, I didn't realize that. And you can be a little hard on yourself. But the truth is, nobody realizes this stuff. This is all new stuff. The world's a different place. We all want more in our relationships, and we haven't figured out how to get there. So it's only by trial and error that we get there. And it's just learning this and putting it into practice in small steps. And what I find is if you're taking steps in the right direction, then more things come to you. It's only when we're going in the wrong direction that our destiny can't be fulfilled. So following your heart, but taking the steps in the right direction that feel right. So celebrate. If I pointed out something and you go, oh my God, I've been doing it all wrong. Well, that's great. Now, if you start doing it in a way that works, then all this good will come to you. So this can be a great year of fulfillment and happiness in your relationships. Just start putting some of these new ideas into practice. And remember, you deserve it. You don't have to earn a man's love. The right guy is out there, and that's the blessing in the universe. He'll find you if you keep putting yourself out there, the best part of you.
Oh, thank you so much, John. I love that message of hope, and I really am so grateful to John for his generous wisdom, and for each of you for being here. John and I both commend you for being here with us. You're to be complimented, because obviously you care about the quality of your life and your learning and growth. So John, thank you so much for being here. It's just been an honor and a delight.
And thank you.
Thank you so much to all of you for being here. Bye-bye for now.